Team Griffins from WESTVILLE Boys High School, South Africa.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and to our esteemed Board of Directors. Once again, VWAG is currently faced with key and critical issues and various other ethical dilemmas, which are in dire need of strategic decision-making and the implementation of these strategies. We prioritize the following key issues based on their ethical implications, their urgency, and their impact. It is for this reason that we see the e-mobility strategy at the top of our list, because it envisions VW's goal for the strategy for 2025 plus in becoming one of the leading electric car producers in the world, as well as the ethical implications of VW using carcinogenic components to produce their electric vehicles. We then consider the MEB platform, which is VW's opportunity to partner with BYD to become the leader in electric car production. We then looked at strategy and cost optimization, which is the best solution to streamline and provide the most cost-efficient operation for VW AG. Lastly, we prioritized the Navistar acquisition, which will give them the opportunity to extend their market reach in trucking and buses in the world.
A potentially fatal issue has been determined with VW's charging system in their electric vehicles. No incidents have been reported on this issue thus far. However, this poses possible risks for the future of VW's electric vehicle production. VW has three options with this problem. They can either recall all electric vehicles to prevent any safety issues in the future. They can recall some of the vehicles that are more likely to have these issues, or they can work on a system of compensation, where they're only dealing with their problems when they become publicized. We believe this system of compensation is the most unethical one and should be disregarded. It also would spread out the bad reputation of VW over a longer period of time. By recalling some of the vehicles, VW will still be at risk of having safety issues with their customers. VW needs to be steadfast in their ethical decisions after their Dieselgate scandal in 2015, which is why we believe that even if there's a slight risk that the system could cause harm to their customers, they should see red flags and disregard this option as well. We believe that VW should recall all their problem vehicles, as this is the most ethical option. It is also the most expensive option, but we believe it is important for VW's future. Secondly, we believe that VW should implement strategies to prevent this problem in the future. An example of a way they can do this is by they can produce more of their components in-house and source less of their components externally. This way, they can ensure the reliability and the safety of all their components in their cars.
VW AG is in need of an MEB platform in order to further develop their Transform 2025 Plus strategy. The Chinese company, BYD, has offered VW a proposition in which they will jointly develop a compact electric vehicle for sale in China and global markets. There are advantages to the agreement with BYD. The first is that BYD is currently the second largest electric vehicle producer globally, just behind Tesla. This MEB platform can then be incorporated into our other segments of VW's operation. BYD and VW share a vision of overtaking Tesla in the electrical vehicle market, and they also utilize similar technology in their vehicle production. The research and development, as well as the MEB platform, will help jumpstart our e-mobility strategy into the future. There are some disadvantages of the agreement. VW AG will not be able to sell compacts in China, therefore losing out on a large portion of the market. Working with the Chinese could potentially tarnish some customers' view of VW, and our net present value could take a large hit. Our key recommendation is for VW to enter into the agreement with BYD to develop the compact electric vehicles, as this will advance our Transform 2025 Plus goal and push VW to become a global leader in electric vehicle production. VW is in need it has currently entered the largest IPO in Europe this year, the acquisition of their trucking and buses segment of their product range, Tracon SE, for approximately 16.5 billion euros, and while still retaining 75% control. This leads into our next point, the acquisition of Navistar International Corporation. This will enable us to open new agreements and develop our product range in new markets that are unavailable to other similar powerhouses with similar product ranges. We will achieve our goal of increasing current share prices and improving profitability. We suggest that we move forward with the plan to acquire Navistar International, as this will be mutually beneficial to both parties, which will increase share price, extend VW's market reach, and result in net gains for both parties involved.
The strategy and cost optimization. With the new appointment of the services executive, he has decided to centralize certain functional units as well as decentralize other functional units. We agree with the centralization of the units over and above the group, an exception to the marketing division. The reason why we say this is because marketing needs to remain decentralized, because it needs to remain in various different regions. Due to different cultures, VW should tailor-make their marketing campaigns in order to cater for the needs as well as to appeal more to the people within that region. The human resources should remain decentralized for more involvement in the regional offices and clear communication between employer and employee. This extends further because the executives on the board are disagreeing with the services executive and employing people by outsourcing employees as well as looking for non-central recruitment. The reason for this is that we believe that these executives want the best of the best to help produce VW's known quality, and we actually believe that they should continue on the strategy. I think the strategy that they need to implement is that they should reconsider the centralization and decentralization of the certain functions in order to prevent them from unnecessarily restructuring the business structure. Another issue that comes into place is in the premium and super premium categories, we've rendered some of our employees redundant, and instead of retrenching these employees respectfully, we've decided to re-employ them under our volume segment, while underpaying them significantly. The reason why this makes us look so unethical is we are boosting our production of the volume segment to the detriment of our employees, as we are not paying them enough to sustain their way of living. And in this case, it is actually exploitation of our employees. Our solution is to respectfully retrench our employees. And when we mean retrenching them respectfully, we mean by incorporating our human resources division into helping these people who are being retrenched by putting them into the necessary recruitment programs and providing them with the support that they need to find a new job, either in other companies or by putting them in other divisions. The ethical dilemma we've identified is the driverless technology. The thing with this is that after our Dieselgate scandal and then the carcinogenic components used in our e-mobility strategy, to use artificial intelligence, which is still underdeveloped, we are putting the lives of our customers at risk due to this technology not being foolproof and not fully developed. We cannot face the risks as we are under pressure due to using the carcinogenic components in our electric cars and the Dieselgate scandal of 2015. We don't want to break or betray our customers' trust in VW with our quality, once again, after the Dieselgate and now the issue of the carcinogenic materials being used.
We hope these solutions will help for a more cost-effective and ethical running of VW in the future. If there are any questions or clarifications that need to be made, please direct them towards us.
Thank you for your presentation. Can I check a couple of things, please? On your first slide, you've got an order of 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got strategy and cost optimization as 3. In the presentation, the actual report, you've got it as 4. Which order is that correct?
This is the correct order of.
Okay, so great. And then can you... Okay. In the MEB platform, you have chosen to enter the deal with BYD. You say that it will advance the 2025 goal. Can you explain your thinking around the fact that you will not be able to sell cars in China, and it's the biggest market in the world? What made you choose the deal? What are the decisive factors in choosing that deal with BYD versus taking other choices?
Okay, so obviously when making this decision, we had to weigh the disadvantages and advantages. But with the strategy, when not being able to sell these electric vehicles in China, we didn't view it as a complete negative, because the positive is that BYD is not able to sell it anywhere else in the world, but only in China. So therefore, the whole world is at our hands. And the thing about China is it's such a developing market with electric vehicles especially. But we also can target other developing markets such as Africa and Asia as a whole, excluding China.
Okay. If I can ask one more question. In your Navistar acquisition, how would you actually go ahead? You've made a recommendation to go ahead, but how would you do that? Would you do that with transfer of shares? Would you do that with cash acquisition? How would you do that?
I think using the IPO of our previous of Trayton SE, the IPO of that, and using the shares, because the transfer of shares of 2.4 shares of Trayton SE to 1 share of Navistar will be, and because they shared a similar share price before the plan to go ahead with the acquisition, I think using those shares will be able to help finance the acquisition and will help make the whole process a lot smoother in terms of trying to.
Share for share.
Yes.
Thank you for your presentation, team. On your MEB platform slide, please. MEB, next one, yeah. So there you are proposing to go into agreement with BYD to develop, to go into partnership with them. What would you propose in terms of infrastructure rollout? How do we operate going forward? Do we invest additionally onto in MEB platforms, or do we use what we have got? What would you recommend to the board?
Could we just have a moment to confer? Okay, so what we're proposing is that we use the infrastructure that we have, because we have, I think it's 8 MEB platforms, 8 different platforms. So we have the infrastructure that's needed, and we can use this to develop our cars, as well as BYD having such a big capital, because they're being funded by their government. They have $590 million US, so they can use that as well and partner with us to research and develop things that we need along the way even further.
Well done on a really good presentation. I really liked how you showed us your thinking and your options analysis and how you rationalized what you're recommending. So well done for being able to articulate that. So I have 2 questions. The first one is, okay, so let's assume that you are the leader of Volkswagen CEO, you're the CEO, and you've decided that you are going to keep this executive and you are going to keep along the plans for cost optimization. How best can that executive and the team support the services executive? So let's assume we're not taking away any responsibility or anything like that. What measures could you put in to help him do his job?
So I think with the strategy and cost optimization, the services executive has been making a lot of decisions without the other executives on the board. So I think what we should do is include the service executives on the board and then have him communicate effectively between different board members. This will allow him to, before he goes ahead with his strategies, it will allow him to communicate it with the rest of the board, and then they can be on a consensus on what needs to be done in the future.
It's a good recommendation. Another one is, I just want to be very clear, your ethical dilemma slide, I really liked how you handled the ethics of this case, but I just want to fully understand. So what are you saying here around AI? Are we investing in it? Are we not?
Okay.
What are we saying? What's the final recommendation?
Okay, so what's happening is we're choosing not to invest in the driverless technology because it uses such a controversial technology like artificial intelligence that isn't fully developed. So because of the issues that we've had ethically in the past, we can't afford to put the well-being and health of our customers as well as their lives into a technology that hasn't been fully researched or developed yet. And we're focusing on our e-mobility strategy and our MEB platforms because that's what's going to propel us into the future and make us leaders in electric car production. So I think the saying is you can't bite off more than you chew. So I think before we do that, we should develop ourselves in the electric vehicle market by becoming the leaders in the electric vehicle market, and then we can focus on other technologies.
So what will you then do if you do become a leader in the electric vehicle market, but now you're completely behind in driverless cars, which is where the world is moving? So you've now lost the opportunity to be part of that. What do you think we should then consider doing if we're not taking this opportunity now? I completely understand the ethics and I get that, but how do we factor that competitive advantage in?
Okay, so the thinking behind it was, because we wanted to be a leader in e-mobility, we invested like a large majority of our capital into that research and development. And that's why we're not choosing to research driverless technology at this moment. But it goes hand in hand with the strategy that we implemented for the e-mobility in 2017, where we chose to outsource the technology, and then later, as we're gaining a footing in the market, then we can choose to research and develop our own technology. So I think what we would do moving forward is we would choose to partner with someone who is an expert in driverless technologies or something of the sort where they're not using it in cars at the moment, so they're not a manufacturing brand. And then they can implement their technology into our cars, and then eventually, while we are gaining this experience, we can then choose to develop our own driverless technology.
So if agency is your key determinant in as far as your prioritization is concerned, which is your slide 1, talk us through how you come to e-mobility and MEB platform as priority issue number 1 and number 2 versus strategy and cost optimization, which is already causing mayhem in the company because of the failed centralization implementation.
Okay, sorry. No, when we were doing the prioritization of the key strategies, we said that it was our ethical implications that we put before our urgency and then our impact. So we had to consider our ethical implications before the urgency, because of the ethical implications, it became urgent for us to address the e-mobility strategy and then as well as the MEB platforms. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
So more urgent than the current pending platform.
I think the main thing is that we need to get our ethics right and make sure that our customers are safe before we can try and move forward in our business. And I think with the ethics and the trust that we have that our customers have in us, the profits will come on their own. So
what we're saying is we're not trying to force the profits by changing our e-mobility, by not using carcinogenic materials and metals anymore, and then by developing the MEB platform. We feel that electric car vehicles will become more safe, and then we can then regain the trust between our customers, and then That in turn will result in a larger sales volume for us because VW will become as a more reliable and safer option for our customers.
I think also by prioritizing ethical issues first, we are avoiding possible backlash that could come and possible losses that come with that backlash before we optimize our costs. Because if we optimize our costs first, ethical measures will have to be put to one side, and that can severely damage the brand's reputation. And so ethical issues will have to be placed first so that moving into cost optimization, we will have a good reputation and will not have to spend any extra money on resolving any other ethical issues.
Thank you.